Hey everyone, welcome to Informmint Presents. It's usually something else, but we've got Foster Hilt here, who is the community manager for Ecomi. I'm super excited. We're going to get some good information. Doing well. How are you doing today, Foster?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for being patient with me and reaching out on a regular basis so that we could organize this. And I'm finally glad that we got over the hump. We were able to get there. And yeah, I'm glad to be on with you tonight. And I can see the community in the chat already. They're excited for this. And yeah, it's going to be a good time.
We are here. Lots of big stuff going on. But most everyone knows you. I know you've been here for a long time, but you want to give just a quick synopsis of your past and like how you landed this Ecomi gig, being the community manager.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So my journey started in early 2021. I found the Ecomi OMI project first in about March. So early 2021. Hadn't really delved too much into cryptocurrency in general, but came across this project that was, partnered with DC and these big brands. And I was like, oh, this is a really interesting concept, right? I was never a huge traditional collector, but my dad was a huge fan of DC comics, of Superman. He was big into that stuff. So, it kind of perked my interest. This seems like a real world use case. And everything that I had kind of heard about crypto to that point was, it was this scam thing and never really had a use case, whatever. And so I started to kind of research it a little bit more. And after a couple of weeks, it really sold me on, hey, let's get involved in this and kind of understand the app a little bit more. And, I think I made my first OMI purchase April 8th of 2021. And then I downloaded the VeVe app April 11th and made my first purchase. And it was the DeLorean interactive for those of you
very cool. That's a good one.
Yeah, that came in around that time. And so that was really cool, zooming it in and out, showing it to my wife and stuff. And so, the more that I started to learn about the project, the more I wanted to get involved. I had never actually had any social media accounts. I created my Twitter account to join and hang out with the Ecomi and VeVe communities. My original handle was actually OG_OMI_homie.
Wow,
that seemed like the cool thing to do at the time. Good, right? It seemed like the cool thing to do at the time. And then, really immersed myself in the community, really enjoyed watching a lot of the OG content creators and just kind of all of the mass hysteria and speculation that came from kind of the early 2021 craze. Does VeVe have Disney? Could they have Marvel? What is going to come for this project? And so, started watching other content creators, enjoyed watching them share their perspectives. And for those of you that have gotten to know me over the last couple of years, I have a lot of opinions and I like to talk a lot, and not having a big voice of my own at the time and not being able to join, some of these larger content creators on their channels, I just decided to pick up the microphone and start talking, right? And so I hit record and started my YouTube channel. And so that was really fun. It took off quite well and just really, enjoyed making relationships with the community. And so did that for a couple of years. And then in early Q3, so like August, September time of 2023, I was approached by Reese Skellern, who was the previous community manager for Ecomi. And he had just inquired, hey, we're looking to expand our team and we're looking to have someone fill my role. Would it potentially be something that you'd be interested in doing? And so really caught me out of left field. It wasn't a job posting or anything that they had out. This was something he kind of just reached out to me directly about. And so, thought about it for a while, talked with the wife and said, is this something that I'd like to do and transition into? And I can thankfully say that it's something that I obviously did do and something that I did enjoy transitioning into. And I've been doing it for almost 2 years now. And it's been a roller coaster ride, to say the least. But, we're really picking up that momentum and picking up that steam. The community has that energy in it. And it's really made kind of the last 18 months or so of building blocks really rewarding now that we're starting to deliver on a more regular cadence. And so, that's been my journey so far. And I still consider myself a community member first. My job is to advocate for the community, back to the team, and make sure that we're delivering on the things that the community members expect for us for the token. And so I feel like we're getting better at that lately, I think, but still a lot of exciting things to come. So,
and who better to do it than somebody who was, in the audience, then becoming, a presenter themselves, so, a content creator. And here you are with this. By the way, I see everyone in chat. It's gonna be a little bit harder for me to get to anything, to everyone, but I see you. Thank you so much for the super chat there. Beer money, I need it. I definitely need some beer money. So very cool, very cool. And you've been doing it. You got, still lots of followers on your social medias and stuff. So it's good to see you here. I know everyone's excited. They want some alpha. They want to know what's going on. But first, we've got, new stuff that's happening that just happened on September 1st. So I'm going to get into my first question. Sorry if I look over because I actually wrote these down to have the questions. So the new OMI rewards, they started, September 1st. 100 million OMI is going to be distributed between weekly and a monthly giveaway. So we'll get into the details there. Can you explain how this works and what the collector should know about it? Because it really just got started and it looks really good. I'm excited about this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously, it's something that I've been excited about in the background for a while now, and so this was one of the community initiatives that I was really pushing forward behind the scenes over the last couple of months. And when we were kind of looking at our larger rollout and how we wanted to deliver OMI utility, part of the utility was making sure that we had that rewards component. And so, historically to date, we've had passive rewards for users who hold their OMI tokens previously in the VeVe web wallet and now in their Stackr self-custody privy wallets. Up to 10 million OMI tokens, users can earn daily bonus MCP points, and then, of course, bronze tickets as well. And so one of the interesting things that we've always received as feedback with the features that we've integrated thus far are, it's cool that we earn these things, but what can we do with them? And so I feel like we've started to answer that question a bit with MCP. Of course, VeVe has done exclusive drops, and now we've started to see rank-based collections that you're going to start to be able to get. And so being able to redeem the bronze tickets for that started to answer those questions. But I think it was really important for me and for us as a company to have kind of this overarching program that was accessible to anyone. You could start from day one, you could participate and get rewarded for being a part of the economy. And so one of the great things about the OMI token and it being a utility and rewards token is that it gives us the flexibility to run programs like OMI Leaderboard Rewards. And so for us, having 100 million OMI tokens, which at the time was only, I think, $18,000, and it's now ballooned to like $35,000 as rewards. And so, I mean, that's fantastic, right? But I mean, one of the things that we were looking at when we were instituting this program wasn't, how can we, ramp up the engagement? That was certainly a byproduct of what we were looking to accomplish. But really the lens that I was looking at it through was, we have these collectors in the ecosystem that are going to be collecting anyways. Why not continue to reward them for being a collector at heart and engaging in the ecosystem? Now, of course, there's going to be tons of users that come in and go, hey, maybe I could buy some collectibles and get a rebate or get some of my money back because I could be on the rewards. And there's that fun gamification aspect that I'm sure a lot of people will take advantage of. But for us, it's really about, hey, who are these collectors that have been supporting our ecosystem through a lot of the tumultuous time that we've had over the last couple of years, and how can we give back and say thanks to them for being community members and being loyal to us when of course there's other places that they could go and participate. And so I think the rewards program is a pretty cool aspect. Now, of course, this is just a V1. We can make additions and modifications to how rewards are calculated and how points are earned, and whether there's specialties that we end up going into. Maybe you get extra points for collecting specific sets, or there's different themes with different weeks and different things that we can do. But for the V1, we just really wanted to have a product in place that users could start getting familiar with the Stackr ecosystem, because of course something that I'm sure we'll get into in this interview at some point later is the OMI-to-Gem that's going to be coming in November. And so wanting to get people comfortable with Stackr. And so I think people can, when they zoom out, they can start to see we do things in very iterative processes. So we rolled out OMI to NFT, which was cool. It was just available, but it wasn't available to all brands. So then what we did is, instead of making it available to all brands right away, having a mass exodus of people coming over, having glitches or bugs, whatever the case may be, we started telling people, hey, we're going to impose a deadline for you to move your tokens from the VeVe web wallet over to the Stackr self-custody wallet so that you can start earning those rewards. But as a byproduct of that, you have your tokens on base in the ecosystem and can start utilizing OMI to NFT. Okay, now we've done that. All right, now let's announce OMI to Gem to get people familiar with the fact that that's going to be coming. And then once we've announced that, okay, now we can start rewarding people who have already started to check it out, because now they have a reason to check it out. Exactly. And now they can start getting rewarded for it and taking advantage of it. So it's been cool to roll out. And so we try and do things in a very intentional way when it comes to that. And sometimes before all the pieces have been put together, people kind of go, oh, why are they doing that? Or this doesn't make any sense. But I think as it starts to roll out in its entirety, people kind of go, oh, I get it now.
And it makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, you just talked about how, 100 million OMI wasn't worth as much now. So, I mean, the impact on OMI itself by doing this, I think, has been huge. Is that, do you see this further stuff that you might be doing impacting the OMI price and stuff like this? Because getting people in the market's been the big issue. And bam, September 1st, look at where we're at now, right? Like, people are starting to use it.
Yeah, no, it was really cool. I was looking at the internal data, and I think I put out a post earlier today about it on the Ecomi account, but I think we had over 2.2 million points earned, which of course is an equal equivalent to OMI burned, which was the highest number that we've seen on Stackr, I think, to date by about 50%. And so that's just kind of a day one, people, getting their feet wet, kind of checking this thing out and figuring out kind of what's what. And so I think it's really a testament to the direction that we're headed in. And so I'm very hopeful that we'll continue to see that uptick in the trend of user adoption. And I think for me, kind of, people talk about price a lot, which makes sense. It's a crypto token, and I totally understand that aspect of it. But I think for me, something that I've been really adamant about for a while now, and I think people were against it at first, but I think they're starting to come around to it, is that, sure, we could have 1,000 people here speculating on a future price of a token, probably not going to move the needle much. But where we may start to see some larger success is when we have larger adoption, which comes through a mass, inclusion of new users, whether it be through, new IP or incentives that VeVe has put into place, or whether it be from having those rewards in the ecosystem in place to support a collecting economy with the OMI token. And so, I would very much love to see, the vast majority of people who are utilizing the OMI token not even understand that it's a crypto token, not understand its connection to blockchain and Web3. I want people to just go, hey, what's an OMI? Similarly to when people were on VeVe and went, what's a gem, right? Well, all you need to know with the OMI token, if you want to buy a collectible that you love, whatever it may be, is this collectible is going to cost you this amount of OMIs, right? You don't need to know what an OMI is, because you can just go on the Stackr marketplace, eventually input your credit card, and then just make the purchase directly with it, right? And that's the direction that we're headed. And so we cut out kind of the nuance of what people need to understand. We've taken, account abstraction, social logins and things like that, where the Web3 crowd still gets the aspects of self-custody of their tokens that they're looking for, but the Web2 crowd doesn't need to come in and understand how to write down a seed phrase, how to export their wallet, and all of those things. And I think finding that kind of in-between balance will allow us to, effectively onboard both Web 2 and Web 3 crowds in what I kind of classify it as is the cross-pollination of user bases. And so that's something we've been looking to do with VeVe users for quite a while, because VeVe users tend to lean more on the Web 2 side. And then, of course, with the OMI token, it's more of a native Web 3 crowd. So as we look to cross-pollinate those user bases, and I mean, what better user base to pollinate than, fans of 200 of the biggest brands and IPs in the world. I mean, where else are you going to find that, right? And so
we're learning quick too to do this, right? Like we're going to have to learn how to do this. So I think it's all really good. Do you see are there going to be other programs like this is the first iteration? I know you kind of said there'd be other stuff. Like what else might we see you can hint at, or you're just going to kind of check this run out September and then go from there?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. So we're always future thinking, right? But at the same time, we don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves. And then, kind of go back and go, oh my goodness, like we weren't accounting for this, or we didn't expect this, or whatever the case may be. And so perfect example of that, right, is the 100 million rewards pool. When we budgeted for 18K, right? It's 100 million OMI, right? So for us, 100 million OMI is 100 million OMI, but we were kind of like, oh, hey, like this is going to be really cool. Like it's going to incentivize users. And then at one point, like a week ago, it was like a $55,000 pool. We're like, oh, wow, like this escalated quickly, right? And so, so for us, as we're looking to future, iterate on this is, like I said, adding in kind of the fun elements of gamification. Do we have a period where there's a week leaderboard where it's targeting certain genres or brands, or hey, you get a 20% bonus for all comics that you buy this week. Doesn't matter the comic, but hey, you buy comics this week, you get 20%. Next week, hey, it's a 10% boost on collectibles. And so it's really cool because we have the ability. It's just some math in the back end, right? Like, it's not a difficult thing to iterate, but a lot of this is going to come from community feedback. And so one of the reasons that we kind of rolled it out as the weekly rewards and a monthly reward for month one isn't because, hey, we're only planning to do it for the month of September and never do it again. It's more so, hey, we want to gauge this community feedback. And so today, when I released the weekly rewards, I didn't want to release what the weekly and the monthly was at the same time. So I want to give people an opportunity to digest it, right? Take 24 hours. Right. What is this? Do you think that these rewards are balanced? Do you think that they're fair? Do you think that rewarding 25 users is enough? Is it too little? And so as we start to work that out, and those are things that you can play with the numbers in your head all you want, and go back into the bat cave and do all the calculations. But until you actually see it in a live environment, you never are going to truly understand the mechanics and how it's adopted. And so, one of the things that we're looking at moving forward outside of just rewarding people for purchasing, which is obviously a big part of the ecosystem, is the social and community component. And so obviously, being the community manager for Ecomi, one of my big things is recognizing the community that's recognizing us. And there's countless, right? You could never name the amount of people that are our ride or dies that come out every single day and support us on socials, are there, have post notifications on for all of our posts. They're showing up to all of the streams that all of our fantastic content creators are putting out in the community. And so one of the things that we'd like to do is be able to give back to those people as well. And so, social leaderboards are something that we're also looking to explore as a V2. We've seen different examples of it in the space currently. We've seen Cato with Yappers. We've seen the Banker Rewards, and something that they've done well. And so I think those are some good examples of things that we can potentially look to incorporate. And the thing is that we have that flexibility, right? And so as the community gives us that feedback, and as we look to iterate those things, actually a fun fact that I think I may have mentioned once, but the V1 was actually meant to contain a social component. So we were actually going to have a social score associated with doing these purchases if you shared your purchase online afterwards and whatever. But
I like that.
But before we added too much to it at first, we just wanted people, you want people, do you just, when you go to a pool and you're like, hey, I think it's kind of cold, do you just jump in off the deep end, or do you go, hey, let me walk down the stairs, let me kind of acclimate a little bit,
dip my toes in, right?
Yeah, that's it. So this is us kind of dipping our toes into this and kind of, like I said, getting that community feedback, which I have to say has been overwhelmingly positive, and we're very grateful for that. But as people come up with different ideas and ways that they'd like to be rewarded, we would love to consider those and kind of create an even more holistic rewards program that incorporates a lot of those different components.
I love that, because even on my stream, people were worried, like, this is always like for the rich people and the people to do well, but like adding aspects like that is really nice. Now, what's the best way for people to make suggestions for you? Like, if you look in the description, I've got a Ecomi Twitter in there. I'll add some more too, but what's the best way for them to contact Ecomi to let you guys know?
Great question. Yeah. So, I mean, if anyone's ever looking to give us any feedback, you can take Ecomi on socials. You can tag myself, so at Foster Hilt on socials. Come and check out the Ecomi Discord. That's our official Discord server. We do take suggestions in there as well. And so, if it's ever anything related to VeVe, if you have like a VeVe feature that you're looking to suggest, you can put in a support ticket through them, and they'll log it through their official channels. But yeah, I mean, the community is great about passing along that feedback. And one of the great things about being able to chat with different content creators in different cohorts of the community, right, is that you're getting feedback from your community, and maybe they're giving you an overwhelmingly, hey, we're looking for this, or hey, we don't like this, and then you can pass that on to me, right? Well, we're having these interactions, or if I'm on someone else's channel, or I'm in an X space or whatever, and so that information gets passed along to us, and then I do my best to filter it, and whether I personally agree or disagree with it, I do my best to kind of correlate all of the information and pass it on,
For
and then
sure.
the team can discuss it and kind of move forward as best we can. But definitely, as we start to identify those common themes, especially when it comes to being able to reward the community, I mean, it's
Right.
fun all around, right? It's fun for me
For
to be able to
sure.
log onto socials and see people excited about things and celebrating and sharing the the purchases that they've made. And I definitely hear where people are coming from, that they feel like, hey, the whales are just being rewarded. But remember, at the end of the day, we're looking to reward people who are collecting anyways, right? So
Of course.
we're not looking, and if people even look, like if you pull up the weekly rewards again, I think you had a
Right
slide of
there.
that. Like
Yep,
you can
right
see
there.
it's pretty balanced. You know what I mean? Like it's not like first gets 80% of the pool and then
Right,
the rest of the people get scraps. Like we really wanted to create that balance, and people will see that when they see the monthly rewards released as well. And so it's
Right.
really about, if you're collecting and you enjoy collecting, you're going to find some way to get rewarded, right? And whether that's whether it's people say, oh well, it's only going to go to the whales. Well, if you're selling collectibles and the whales are picking them up, right, like you're still benefiting. If you're still buying, you're still participating in the ecosystem. It's still a net positive. Every transaction still permanently removes the OMI token from circulating supply. So anyone that's making any purchase on Stackr is helping the ecosystem. But if there's more ways that we can engage users that feel as though maybe they don't have as competitive of a chance, and so once again, things like social leaderboards, there's absolutely something that we're looking to explore and implement, because we want everyone, regardless of their wallet size or their social following, to be able to participate and have an impact in the ecosystem.
And you've done it because so the weekly there's 1 through 25, but the monthly is 100, right? It's the top 100. So like you said, yes. I don't like it when people say, well, I don't like just the whales getting rewarded, because look, they're moving the market. But I do understand that we also want people that are participating who don't have the money, but who are out there shouting out Ecomi and VeVe and all this and Stackr. They should get rewarded too. So just keep that in mind. But great that you've got some you've got this going on, and we're going to soon see the monthly here to that, and hopefully get some other stuff. So just kind of moving on, I know you've been talking about, like on socials, about utility and stuff like that. Can you explain the utility that we might see in the future? Maybe some utility that you would like to see from OMI?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, one of the cool things about what we're doing is we're building in a very logical flow. And so building a foundation allows us to build a lot of great building blocks on top of that foundation. So for us, OMI to NFT was the foundation, because it introduced that initial utility back into the ecosystem of being able to buy collectibles with the OMI token. And so, some of the stuff that we haven't seen yet that we have to look forward to, right, is OMI Utility in the VeVeverse. We haven't even begin to scratch the surface on what that may look like and what the possibilities are. And I'm not going to go too much into it today, because I'm sure I'll be getting phone calls from the U and getting myself in trouble. But that's an entire facet of this entire program that we haven't even touched yet, right? And so, and then of course, there's bronze tickets, which currently do one thing, but will eventually do multiple things, right? And there'll be reasons to purchase the bronze tickets, and you'll be able to purchase the bronze tickets with OMI, which will also remove the token from the circulating supply. So there's different things that exist currently already that we can iterate on. The leaderboard rewards, adding the social aspect that can come, right? OMI to NFT, things that we can add on. But then there's things that we haven't touched on entirely, right? So we have OMI to Gem, which I'm sure we'll get into at some point. But then we also have physical drop redemptions at New York Comic Con, as an example. You'll be able to buy specific collectibles there exclusively with the OMI token, right? So you'll only be able to get those with the OMI token. And so that's something that's going to be really cool. Something that, once again, the pool analogy, dipping your toes into the water, test this out, see how it's received. One of the other things that we have coming as well is OMI exclusive drops. And so that's an entire other area of this whole kind of fun ecosystem that we haven't even begin to dip our toes in yet. And so to properly expectation set for people what that will look like, it's likely to start with VeVe or Ecomi branded IP, right? It likely won't be the first drop, is a major license of whatever the license might be, right? And so we want to make sure that we have all of our ducks in a row and that this is functioning correctly before we do that. But I think that that's going to be a really cool feature, not just because it's utilizing OMI in the ecosystem, but it's going to, and this is the balance that we've tried to find for a long time, and I've been saying for the better part of a year, if people don't want to utilize the OMI token within the ecosystem, I will feel like I have failed. And so before, it really felt like, it was a choice, or hey, I want to do this.
Right.
But now with aspects like OMI to Gem coming and with cash out being removed, people are incentivized to utilize the OMI token. OMI exclusive drops is another example of that, where users are going to be incentivized to utilize the OMI token because it is going to be the only way that they can collect certain things that they may want,
Right.
whether it's to complete a set that's been released and has a specific collectible that gets added to it that can only be purchased in OMI, or whether it's just an OMI exclusive drop entirely that only has purchasability with OMI. So that's going to be really fun to be able to scope out, and I'm really looking forward to the community feedback on that as we get closer to announcing those first drops. But yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun, and it's going to encourage a lot of people to, like I said, even if they're just holding the OMI token, get rewarded with daily MCP points, get rewarded with bronze tickets, and then as those start to have more use cases, people are really going to be kicking themselves for not stacking and collecting those sooner, right?
Exactly. And what's really nice, because I came into this because, I could use a credit card. I was one of those people. I'm still kind of like, I'm not the biggest crypto guy, but like now with Stackr, you can just sell a couple collectibles and get OMI in your account. I did that. I sold the collectible for 1 million OMI. I'm an OMI millionaire now. Nice. I'm getting my MCP. And it was easy. It just, after a day, I started getting the MCP. It's in there. I didn't have to go through any exchange. You can if you want to, and I probably will be. I bought some on Banker and stuff like that. But it's great to see, to see all this, and it's getting easier for people to get involved and get the OMI, and to see the utility that's been promised in the past. It's like everything is really starting to happen. So it's truly very exciting. It's good to hear all of this. So now nobody's even going to understand this picture, right? Like you and me, if there's older people that get this, Fudweiser. But yes, there's obviously, I've seen the FUD out there, and, a lot of times we like to avoid it and everything. But like, how are you addressing some of the concerns of the FUDers, and what should collectors be excited about as things start to heat up? Because they really are starting to heat up.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I think that we have to take our fair share of accountability for the reason that FUD exists, right? And so for people that are going to be watching this, they go, what is that FUD word? Fear, uncertainty, and doubt, right? And so that comes as a byproduct of not being transparent and not communicating with people as much as we could be. And I will say, we have to take the lion's share of that responsibility for, the better part of the first 18 months of when I joined the position, right? It was really just, hey, we're building things behind the scenes, but we're not going to talk about them, and whatever the case may be. And whatever those decisions were made at the time, right? They were decisions that were made and we lived with them. But I think now we've I think, at least, and maybe I'm a bit biased, but I think we've done a much better job about being transparent, not only about features that we're currently developing and working on, but things that people have to look forward to moving forward. And I think part of breaking down those walls, of letting people know that, hey, we are constantly working. And I think the other thing too is that you can tell people something 100 times, but a lot of people are rightfully, especially in crypto, going to be, skeptical. They're going to be reserved. Sure. So I think the thing that helps address the FUD more than anything, more than the communication, more than the belief for whatever, is delivery, right? Is you can't FUD the outcome, right? And so I think what we've started to do is deliver on a more regular cadence and be transparent about the things that we're looking to deliver moving forward. And it properly expectation sets for the community, the things that are going to be accomplished, the things that we're potentially not focusing on, and the things that they have to look forward to. And so I think for us, hopefully people feel as though I'm as transparent as I can be. I do my utmost to respond to everyone on socials. The only time that I won't respond is if people are doing personal attacks, right? If they're attacking me as a person, or they're attacking the founders or whatever, then I just don't bother. But for the most part, people disagree. They go, hey, like OMI to Gem was a great example, right? There was a lot of people that said, hey, I don't agree with this. I think that this is a bad idea. Totally a fair perspective, right? And took the time to have conversations with a lot of people. There was actually someone earlier today that tagged me in a post and said, you know what? I had some time to think about it. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I've actually changed my position on it. I thought that was really, awesome of them. And so I made sure to recognize that. And, we're not going to make decisions all the time that please everyone. I think the important thing for people to remember is that we're making the decisions because we're looking to build out the ecosystem so that it's somewhere that the masses can come in and feel comfortable exploring and being a part of. And so, people look at the decisions, they don't always necessarily understand them from the outside looking in. Oh, you're getting rid of cash out. Why is Gems an in-app currency now? Why are you pushing the OMI token forward? But I think as we start to deliver on more of these utilities and people realize just how easy it will be to interact with OMI in the ecosystem, it starts to give people that confidence. And, something that we were talking about a few minutes ago that speaks to that is you've now onboarded into OMI. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. It maybe wasn't as scary of a proposition when all was said and done as you maybe thought it would have been going into it, right? Like, what is this Stackr thing? Why do we have a third-party marketplace? Why am I signing up for this? How do I list this collectible? Like, what's going? But then you start to utilize and you go, oh, wow, I can actually list the collectible and initiate it directly from within the VeVe app. Like, that's pretty cool. Oh, hey, I can just sign up with an email and it's just to a fake card. Hey, that's how I log into VeVe. And so I think as people start to get comfortable with that, and so we're not there yet, but the direction that we're headed, and I think I referenced it a little earlier in our conversation, is eventually people will just be able to buy the OMI token with one click. Right. Right now they can buy USDC with one click and then they got to swap it into OMI. So there's a little bit of an extra step, but eventually, people will see a collectible on Stackr and they'll go buy 495,000 OMI. And they're going to go, what the heck is this OMI thing? Buy now. Right. And then it's going to give you the option, buy with available funds or add funds now. And when you go to add funds now, are you transferring in from an exchange or buy with a credit card, right? And you click buy with a credit card and it's going to tell you, and it'll show you the USD equivalent before that anyways. Of course, hey, it's going to cost me $47. You're like, okay, yeah, that's fine, right? And so once you kind of abstract all of that away, OMI just becomes an in-app currency, right? And no one thinks about, the V-Bucks that they're buying or the Call of Duty points or the Robux, all of that stuff, right? They're buying the thing that they enjoy, that they want to use in an ecosystem. And I think that is a concept that a lot more people can get comfortable and familiar with than, hey, I need you to go on this exchange. It's going to be 17 steps. You're going to need a KYC. It's going to take you 2 days and your bank might call you to block your card. But once you get through all that, you're going to be able to buy the thing you want, right? And so I think once you remove all of those barriers, it becomes a friendly place that people want to be, taking a part of and advantage of. And when they can also get rewarded for it on top of that for purchases that they would have made anyways, that I think is where the real fun begins.
And we see it. By the way, just real quick, thanks, Crip Tony, our Grammy winner here. How are you doing? He's got a quick question, and thank you for the super chat. How many Todds do you own, if you can tell us?
I have 1 or 2 Todds on VeVe, and then I have 12 physical Todd McFarlane statues, which are right behind my green screen right now. And I also have the limited edition 1 of 500 blue variant. My number's not 1, but it's a 1 of 500.
Oh wow!
And so that's pretty cool. So yeah,
that's cool. All right, so you've got a lot of those. All right, so we got through the FUD, and look, the FUD is good. It keeps all of us on our feet. I've always liked hearing it. I just said be respectful, right? Especially if you have something you don't like. I always suggest don't just say you hate it. Say what you would like to see, what you would do to make it better, instead of just being a little bitch. And I know how it is. It could be.
You know what the issue is too, though, right? Like saying you hate something. It's not feedback, right? It's an opinion, and there's nothing wrong with people having opinions.
Exactly.
But what can I take back to the team when I go, oh, what did Jim 123 think? Oh, he hated it. Okay, did he tell you why? Well, no, he just said he hated it. Okay, so what are we changing? What are we doing better, right? And so when people go, I don't like this, and here's why I don't like it, one of two things happens, right? We go, well, one, here's why it's happening, and here's why it's objectively better, and then people either get behind it or they don't. Or we go, two, never really thought of that before. That's a great point. And then we can go back and we can iterate and improve our processes. So that's always what's going to happen when you give us feedback. But when you just kind of give us the, hey, you're a terrible people.
Right. I mean, you're out there to just slit throats in a video game and just, it's no good for anyone. Look, if you, I say, if you hate it so much, just move on. But that's what I say. So moving on, you kind of got into it, upcoming drops, exclusively with OMI. Obviously you already said that it's confirmed it's going to happen. We've already heard that before. It sounded like you were saying, it's probably going to start off with like your own IP, right? Like Ecomi and VeVe or whatever it is. Makes sense. A lot easier. You don't have the restrictions. Is there any alpha you can give us? I'm going to pull it out of you. No, I know you probably can't, but I'll still put you on the spot.
What I will say too is one of the nice things about utilizing our own IP is it gives us more flexibility about what happens with the token afterwards, right? And so, one thing that I've seen and a lot of people have given feedback like, oh, I can't wait to have, X licensor drop and burn 100% of the OMI. And like in theory, that's great, right? Like I would love for every dollar that's spent to burn 100%, right? I would love that. But the thing is, like, well, then who's paying the licensors and who's paying the staff to create the collectible, and who's paying all the, you know what I mean? So like, who's paying app store fees and all this stuff, right? So like in theory, yes, it's fantastic. Let's burn everything, right? But in practice, it's not feasible.
Right.
Whereas when we start to utilize our own IP, whether it's to create accessories or whether, for the VeVeverse or whether it's to create exclusive drops or whatever the case may be, we just have more flexibility about, how we reward or how we engage users for utilizing the OMI token. And so I think that that's going to open up a lot of doors for us. And I've seen several community members give feedback, if you dropped an OMI rocket ship, and it was it was 100,000 OMI and you burned all of it, we'd buy it, 10,000 of them and whatever. And so there's cool ideas, right? The community comes up with some great ideas. And so, things like that become possible when they're your own creations. But we can't go to, XYZ licensor and just say, hey, do you just feel like not making money today? Because that's what the outcome will be, right? But,
we'd love to do that. Right.
Yeah, but there's still things that we can do and room that we have to wiggle with. But yeah, I think starting with our own as a proof of concept to understand the interest from the community as well, and gauge, whether it will actually be a success. Because it's one thing to talk about, hey, I think that this is a great idea. But like I said, leaderboard rewards is an example. Until you actually put it out into the wild, are people actually going to utilize it? And so the entire day I was kind of just sitting there, praying.
Like, is it going to happen?
Can we please, can I please see, people on the leaderboard that, the top person isn't 5,000 OMI, right? And it's like, oh no, like this didn't go the way. And then, when I saw the top 10 users alone, got over 1 million points in the first 8 hours, I was like, you know what? Maybe we're on to something. And so that was a really cool validation, and, we'll see where it goes from there.
Wait a second, Dr. Stutt, did he come up with the rocket idea?
He's definitely one of them that's been pushing it. He's a troublemaker.
Let's go. Yeah. I'm just, here's the thing. I'm excited to see, look, there's a lot of OMI supply out there, and it's going to take a lot to burn it. But man, if we even get to like 10% of the numbers we saw in the past to start using it, and we're going to burn a lot of OMI. And this is over years and years. It's really going to be good for OMI. Deflationary. It's going to be, we're going to get to see what we normally don't get to see on any project. They usually go away, and now, here we are. It's happening. So I'm excited.
I think the deflationary tokenomics are a really interesting concept, and I don't think that they're something that a lot of projects utilize. And so it's a really fun thing. And it's funny, I'll hear people say on a regular basis, OMI has too many tokens. And and I hear in principle where people are coming from, right? Like big number, it's too many, but like,
sure.
When you look at, like, I'll get Dogecoin as an example, right?
Yes,
like Dogecoin has 150 billion tokens, but Dogecoin is also inflationary. It has almost a 6% inflation, right? And so, you say something has too many tokens, well, in relation to what, right? Because like Shiba Inu, right, which at one point was like a top 10 token, had trillions of tokens, right? And so like what's the metric of too many, right? And so I hear what people are saying, and I think what people are equating it to is, the quicker that we burn, the less tokens there. And absolutely, of course. But if we burn all the tokens, right, what are people going to utilize? It's no longer a utility token, because where is it? They're all gone, right? And so I think there needs to be that balance between, hey, let's burn a ton, which is absolutely a fun part of the ecosystem. But more so than, hey, let's burn a ton, is let's bring a ton of people into the ecosystem that are utilizing it, and as a byproduct of that utility, and the rewards and the features that we have in the ecosystem, everyone benefits as a byproduct anyways. And so whether that burn is 0.5% or 5% a year or whatever it ends up being,
right,
it's never going to be more than it is now.
Right.
And that's more than can be said for a lot of tokens. And I think
you're right.
Us, that's a really cool
it's definitely cool, and people are, I see more people interested in going into OMI. I heard some people asking, I'll just ask real quick, do you want to give a price prediction? You probably can't do it as a Ecomi.
I absolutely cannot.
Okay, I figured you can't. No. I figured you can't.
You know what though? What I will say is once again, price, in my opinion, is a byproduct of interest, right? It's no longer a byproduct of accessibility. True. Accessibility is no longer the issue, right? Is Coinbase has abstracted that away. Anyone can access any token that's on base very easily, right? And of course, there's other ways that you can do it. You have the fiat onboarding, and of course, other exchanges that exist and things.
The old way was hard.
But the old way was hard. Right. When you were using Bitforex in 2021 and you needed to use the 17-step guide, right? Like that's what difficult looks like, right?
Yes,
so the issue is no longer accessibility; it's interest. It's whether you can cultivate enough interest from enough people for it to be relevant. And so I think one of the things that we have going for us, and I was mentioning it earlier in a post today, is who is going to be more interested in something than the cumulative user base of 200 of the biggest brands and IPs in the world, right? I mean, single IPs that VeVe have hundreds of millions of users. When they continue to target more IP, and they start to break down the walls of all the different regions and the specific content and the different genres and things that they can go in, all of those users are going to have one thing in common. They're coming to utilize the OMI token, right? And you can't say that about Ethereum. You can't say that about any other token, right? Like OMI will be the only token that people utilize. So price, I have absolutely no idea, but it won't be the 1,000 people that are speculating on it. It'll be the 10 million people that are coming here to utilize VeVe.
Right. That
make the token disappear, right? Like that's the reality, because every single person that utilizes it is burning it directly from the circulating supply on Stackr. And sooner or later, the law of averages is going to catch up to you. And 2% doesn't sound like a lot right now, but when you consider that painting can sell for $450 million,
it adds up. It really adds up.
It adds up pretty quick, right?
And like you said, we can't get rid of the whole supply, right? Like we can't. You gotta have. It's got to be constructive how you do this. You can't get rid of everything. I just see a question. It's actually from a Futter, Paul, but I'll ask it. You don't have to answer it. But like expanding the user base, like this is important. Is there anything else that we're doing, or is it just going to happen synergistically with what VeVe's doing by using the OMI and Stackr and all of that?
No, I mean, it's a valid question. I think that there's like a 2 or potentially 3-fold answer to that. So one, for our purposes internally with Ecomi, trying to engage the current user base as a marketing tool, I think is really important. So social leaderboards, as I referenced earlier, and our conversation is going to be an important metric of that. And I think I was looking at Banker and kind of their social outreach statistics with 0.5% of their token, which is the amount that they were giving out for social leaderboards over 120 days. And the reach that it's gotten, and the amount of people that even in the VeVe community that are regularly bull posting about it and hosting spaces and things like that. I think maybe one way that they went, I don't want to say wrong, because you learn these things over time, but I think having that cutoff of 4 months, my main concern for them is well, what do you do to engage people beyond that, right? Because when you create something, it becomes an expectation. So once you remove that expectation, well, where do you pivot to, right? And so, I think for us, it's creating a sustainable model that we can encourage the current user base to bring in more users. And then, of course, there's marketing to the wider Web3 space, whether that be through, working with different partners in the space. I'm not a huge fan, and I know maybe it's not a hugely popular opinion, but I'm not a huge fan of just paying people to talk about a token. And I mean like random people in a space, right? Like you go to Jim Bob and go like, hey, here's 10 grand, talk about my token, right?
Unless you want to pay me, then I think it's good. But otherwise, I don't think it's good.
But you know what I mean? And then Jim Bob starts talking about it, and then someone asks them a question about it, and they go, yeah, I don't know anything about it. They just pay me to talk about it, right? There's no passion. There's no dedication behind it. It's just, hey, I got paid to talk about the thing. I talked about the thing. Here's my money, right? It's like, well, what's the return on that, right? And so I think for us, there's some fantastic marketing opportunities that come with synergies that exist in VeVe, which I'll get into in a moment, but as well for us, right? So, look to take advantage of the opportunities as you get them. So, partnering with exchanges is an example. So using exchange listings to leverage, visibility for the platform. Partnerships so far as Stackr and different things that we may look to partner with the OMI token directly, right? Leveraging that to get attention. And then, of course, the big one, and one that I referenced earlier as well, is the cross-pollination of the user bases. And I think, maybe it's something that people sleep on a little bit, but, VeVe is primed to be an absolute wrecking machine when it comes to getting attention from the wider space, right? And so we saw it back in 2021. We saw it with Disney Golden Moments.
Exactly.
Like the amount of interest that came, and Disney only did like one retweet, I think, for the Golden Moments, right? Like, but it broke everything. Like it broke everything, right? And so you look at that and you think about the brands that VeVe already has, right? But then you also think about brands that exist elsewhere that they could onboard. And all of those are catalysts for marketing opportunities. And once again, you could say, hey, OMI's not getting as much attention as VeVe. But once again, once people have been onboarded into the VeVe ecosystem, they're going to learn about OMI as a byproduct anyways, because they're going to have people in the community like you and all the community members who are saying, hey, you're looking to cash out, here's how you do it. And it's not going to be this 17-step process. It's going to be this 2-step process. It's going to onboard people. Or they're going to say, hey, there's this really cool drop on this Stackr thing. I have to buy this OMI thing. And they're just going to buy it with a credit card, right? They're not going to think about it. And so the traditional Web3 mindset goes, hey, how do you market this thing? How do you make price go up? And once again, totally fair perspective. But the Web2 user base doesn't care about that. If you're coming to buy a $40 collectible, would you rather buy the $40 collectible for gems, or would you rather buy it for OMI? But if you buy it for OMI, there's a chance that you get 5 to 10% back because you were a part of a rewards program. Or, hey, in the process, you also earn MCP points that brought you closer to whatever. Or, hey, this drop that you want is actually only an OMI anyway. So if you want to participate, you got to do it in the token, right? And so there's so many opportunities to leverage those existing brands and IP and bring them in to kind of the Web3, but make it a safe environment where, hey, this doesn't need to be this really scary thing that you've heard about on the internet being the scam thing. Bring them in a safe environment, get them into the VeVe ecosystem, and then immerse OMI so much into that ecosystem that it just feels natural that it's a part of it and that it never wasn't in the first place.
It's very cool. It's all coming together. All the stuff that we heard back in the day, and now it's really happening. Now it's really all the BS is out of the way. This can happen, and we can see it. So it's really cool. So good stuff. Okay, let's move on to the next one. No Gem Cashout after November 18th. So my question on that is, many users are concerned about the upcoming Gem Cashout deadline on November 18, 2025, which will be the last day. What tips or advice can you share to help collectors navigate this change and feel more confident about their OMI and collectibles?
Yeah, absolutely.
You like how I'm sad there? I'm sad. And
I like that.
And I got my oxygen. I got to do it because when I first heard about this, I had to take some extra oxygen because I was like, wait, what? But it's starting to make sense now. Again, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, for people that have been listening, I've touched on some of the benefits already, so I won't get as in depth to them this time. But of course, the first thing for people to keep in mind is that this isn't happening tomorrow, right? As you've alluded to, it's not happening until November 18th. So users have about 2.5 months to decide what they want to do with any gems that they have in their VeVe account. It's available for them to cash out at any point. It's not until after November 18th that those become an in-app currency. So they have time to consider, hey, do I want to leave some on there so I can still purchase primary market drops or certain collectibles that'll be for sale in the VeVe secondary market? Or do I want to cash them all out or what I want to do with them, right? So users have time to consider the pros and cons for their purposes and make those decisions. For anyone that's kind of on the fence that's not really sure what they want to do, one of the things to remember as well is even if you have gems and you didn't hear this announcement and you're listening to this and it's November 20th, this is the first time you're hearing this announcement. You're like, oh my God, I'm stuck. I have 1,000 gems. I can't cash them out anymore. Right. There will always be ways for you to cash out your gems, right? Now, it won't be gems to crypto, right? Or anything like that, but you buy a VeVe collectible and then you sell it for OMI, right? Now, of course, there's a little bit more fees there. I'm certainly not saying that it's the perfect system, right? But you're not just stuck with that and never being able to cash out, right? And I think one of the things too, that people will start to get more comfortable with, and something that I've alluded to a few times is the ease of access in which you can both utilize the OMI token, acquire it, and then offboard with it as well, right? And there's tons of third-party partnerships that can come to fruition at some point that will facilitate easier both on-ramping and off-ramping of OMI, whether it be into another stablecoin, cryptocurrency, or into fiat currencies, right? And so those exist. They're not super complicated to integrate with. One of the things that we're looking to target right now is larger exchange partnerships that will allow us to facilitate with additional liquidity to support these ventures. But we have time to integrate those as well, right? So we're working in an iterative process as well. And between now and November 18th, I think users will start to see several additional integrations, both on Stackr and for us as well with Ecomi, that we're looking to integrate and utilize for the token. And so as we start to roll those out, I think people will start to realize, you know what, I don't really need gems. And if I do need gems, I'll just buy them with OMI. Right. And so, users will very easily be able to buy gems directly on the Stackr website, utilizing their OMI balances. If they don't have OMI, they can either sell collectibles into OMI in the secondary market, or they could buy it with fiat. And so, it'll be very easy for users to still be able to utilize a credit card if they want, right? Hey, I just want to, buy $20 worth of gems with my credit card. I just want to buy this primary market drop on VeVe, and I want nothing to do with crypto, right? No, that's totally fine, right? You don't have to do that. You want that cash out aspect? This is the way that you're going to go, and we're going to make it very seamless and very easy for people. But this change, specifically for VeVe, I think opens a lot of doors for them when it comes to onboarding different types of user bases, whether it be from different age demographics or whatever the case may be, right? And so, removing that component of needing to have that in-app currency, and on top of that as well, and this is my personal opinion, but like, if you're a company, why would you want to pay 30% fees to an app store?
I don't like that
for this
whole
type of thing, right?
It's killing it for us too.
And I was very, even as a community member, I was very adamant that I wanted to see VeVe charge that 30% fee on mobile app, especially once they enabled, being able to buy gems on the VeVe web wallet like 2 years ago, right?
I know. And I was trying to encourage people
the 30% on the mobile app. Like, if people want to do that, charge the 30%. They have another option. You're not locking them into spending more money.
Exactly.
But like, you're eating that cost, right? But of course, VeVe, very customer first, very collectors at heart mantra of them. They're like, no, we want to make it very easy for users. We don't want to make it more complicated for them. And while I respect that decision, it makes things expensive, and there's unintended consequences, and of course things like 10% cash out and things like that, which only NFT do avoid now. Is
30%'s a killer. Like, there's no other business that could do that.
Exactly.
they had to learn how to do, and luckily they did very good at the beginning. One of the things Smart Buy was saying, like, limits to how much OMI you can buy, are those limits going to be lifted on Stackr? I guess it's what, 500 a week?
So I think that's more of a Coinbase imposed limits, rather than us just saying, hey, you can only buy $500 a week. But there's going to be other means in which, like I said, there's other third-party partnerships that can be utilized in order to purchase larger amounts of OMI easier. And one of the things that we're working towards as well is increasing the liquidity, specifically on the base pool that we have now. I think it's a tad over $400, potentially $450,000, which sounds like a lot, but if you're looking to buy, $50,000 worth of a token, you're going to get a pretty significant amount of slippage. Which is something that we're looking to avoid for our users. We want them to have a comfortable environment, especially once we have OMI to Gem in place, because users may utilize it to cash out of the token as well, right? So we want to make sure that we're able to stabilize, any sell pressure which may exist. Obviously, there'll be a burn component with all the OMI to Gem as well. But these are things that we've obviously thought about and things that we're preparing for. But rest assured, if you take nothing else away from what I've just said, you have time. There's nothing to worry about.
A lot of time.
If you have questions, let us know. Reach out to VeVe if you're unsure about anything. If you want to understand more about OMI to Gem, reach out to us. We'll take the time to walk you through it. And if you decide when all is said and done, you want to withdraw your gems, that option is available to you until November 18th. So
for sure,
you have the time.
And I'm going to be doing more videos. I'm going to really dive deep into this. I'm going to be doing some videos that will be short, some longer. So that hopefully will help, and hopefully people will watch. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to help out the channel. All right, so on to the next thing. I feel like this was out of order of what I wanted on the pictures. But so what I wanted to find out was the input that Ecomi has with Stackr handily buying and selling. For example, is there a way to facilitate instant auto conversion of OMI to USDC after a sale to help ease concerns about cryptocurrency? Like, are these things? I know you kind of discussed it a little bit, but how does that work? Because I know there's a separation there, but also people are going to suggest these things. These are things that were suggested on the show. So how exactly does that work?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I don't want to speak too much to Stackr and their internal roadmap. At the end of the day, they are a third-party company that's partnered with us. And so a great partner of ours, right? Dr. Profit and his team
Sure.
are all, big collectors in the community. And so one of the great things about partnering with a company like them is that they're very much aligned with the long-term vision, both of VeVe and Ecomi. And so they have kind of our best interests in mind when they're making these decisions. But ultimately, it's their marketplace. They're entitled to make those decisions. But one of the things that we've explored and are considering moving forward as Stackr, moves towards their V2 migration that they're working on, is allowing purchase of the VeVe collectibles in currencies other than OMI. So whether that be USDC, USDT, Ethereum, to negate any concerns that some users may have of subsequent sell pressure that could exist theoretically. But kind of our expectation would be that for any VeVe collectible that's purchased through the Stackr marketplace, as OMI is meant to be the utility token that powers the ecosystem, that there would still be a burn component associated with that. So whether that's initiated directly during the purchase via smart contract, right? So someone purchases a VeVe collectible for 100 USDC, and via smart contract $2 of the OMI token is market bought and then immediately sold via smart contract. It's not a buyback; it's being facilitated kind of by the user who's administering that, or having specific benefits or bonuses to utilizing the OMI token, or certain discounts or buying certain collectibles versus utilizing other currencies, or having additional fees. Nothing crazy, right? But just like a slightly larger fee for, let's say, using USDC, whether it's 0.1% or something like that, where it can incorporate that additional burn, so that users are still incentivized to utilize the OMI token, but that they still have options to participate in the ecosystem. Because the one thing that we don't want to do, right, is lock people into, hey, you have to do this or else. So if people feel more comfortable interacting in USDC, as an example, that's perfectly fine. But they also need to understand that they're not reaping the benefits of that as well, right? So let's say for leaderboard rewards, and this is just purely me speculating at this point, but let's say you make a purchase in USDC, your OMI rewards leaderboard points, maybe you only get 60 or 70% of the points that you would have gotten had you used OMI. Right. Just as something that you can do, right? Or maybe you give more points, or whatever, right? Like whatever makes the most sense to kind of say, hey, we want to encourage this activity. But yeah, I mean, there's things that we can certainly do to create flexibility and make users feel comfortable interacting with the ecosystem. But once again, all roads lead back to OMI. So as long as that's kind of our underlying message, regardless of how people are interacting in the marketplace, then I think we'll be better off for it at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think, like, with the idea that I was kind of thinking, where you still use OMI, but I can pay a fee to auto transfer it to, or swap it for USDC for a fee because I'm worried it's going to go up, or I don't know where it's going to go. I don't like the volatility, but I still want to do that. That'd be kind of cool to see. One of the questions I had, I think I saw in the app today on Stackr, I listed something and it let me list it in dollars and then translate it into OMI. Is that new, or did I miss that? Like, I thought that's something I just saw. Maybe I'm wrong.
Interesting. So, I mean, you listed in the amount of OMI tokens that you want, and it's
in the end it was OMI, but it asked me the dollar amount, and then it translated, which was kind of one of the things that I wanted to see. Of course, I'd like it to keep that, so as it goes up and down, I can, it would auto do that. But it was something interesting that I saw today. So
and I think that's one thing that I've seen users asking Stackr moving forward is they're looking for that consistency. And of course, when you're coming from gems, which is an in-app currency tied, 1-to-1 to ecosystem,
right.
If you list something for 100, you always know that you're going to get 100 minus any associated fees, right? And so with OMI, if you list for 1 million OMI tokens, 1 million OMI tokens could be $350 one day, and then the next day, it's $270 or it's $475, right? And so,
exactly.
Having a toggle where users can, select, hey, I want to list this for a stable price and whatever. I don't want to confirm anything for Stackr, which may or may not be on the roadmap, but certainly that is a piece of feedback that I think all of us have seen, and certainly something that I'm confident they're at least looking into and exploring.
For sure. And I'm going to have Simon on Vicente on, I believe, next week. So that will be a question that I can ask. And if people are interested or anything like that. Oh, the wife came on. Are you streaming tomorrow and Thursday too? Not only tomorrow and Thursday, but Saturday, love. I love you. Let's go.
Someone's going to be in the doghouse.
Yeah, that's all right. Now, I don't know. We said we go an hour. I don't know if you can go a few minutes longer or not. I have a few more questions, but if not, then we can end it. You have a few seconds?
No, I mean, the community's hanging out. They're having a good time.
We're hanging out
let's
here.
Do a couple more. Yeah.
All right. So, let me see where I wanted to go. Well, one of the biggest ones, if you have some alpha or teasers for us, you've kind of given us, actually, if people listen, I'm gonna have to go back and pull those out in some shorts or something. I definitely heard some interesting stuff that's coming. Is there anything you'd like to tease us with that you haven't talked about, or just stay tuned? Is that going to be the answer? Stay tuned to Twitter or X. I should say.
I think one of the fun things for me is that I think some of the biggest things that we're working on, we haven't really teased or talked about at all, and I think that's sometimes fun, right? You give. I don't want to say you dangle the carrot, but you give people a certain amount of things to look forward to that keeps them engaged and interested in participating in the ecosystem. And then, out of nowhere, one day you just drop this thing. You just drop the mic and you're like, hey, you got this now. And I think that's one of the really cool things is that with how we've been integrating and iterating the token within the ecosystem, is that we can have kind of both development pipelines occurring concurrently, right? So you have that, hey, here's the things that I don't want to say keep the lights on because they're not boring. I mean, Leaderboard Rewards is an awesome feature, right? Like, don't get me wrong. But like compared to some of the things that we can be doing eventually, it's like, hey, we have this thing that's going to kind of keep the momentum going until we can get to this thing. And then once we get to that thing, it's like, that's the really cool thing, right? And so, I think as time goes on, we're very cognizant of timing, and I think timing has never been more important, especially for the Web3 crowd. I think the Web2 crowd couldn't care about a crypto cycle. They can explain it to you if you ask them, and whatever. But users are very cognizant in the Web3 environment of cycles and where we are in markets, whatever the case may be. So I think positioning ourselves in the right timing to make sure that we have those utilities and integration in place and can get that mind share and attention when the time comes for NFTs to get their moment in the sun again. I think positioning ourselves as the predominant token that powers the biggest ecosystem in digital collecting will be really important. And I think, like I said, we've made some strides towards that, but I think the best is yet to come. And I really do believe that we've only scratched the surface about what's possible.
Yeah, now we're getting questions. Are you confident? I mean, obviously, I think you're confident in what's going on. It's just there's a lot of really cool stuff that's happening here. Like I said, this was a lot of stuff that was promised in the past, and now we're seeing it. I mean, you were not even working for, Ecomi at the time, and now we're seeing all this stuff. I mean, I'll tell you what, when I heard the first Gem thing, I freaked out. I know Kryptoni, a couple of us did, and then I just sat back and I thought about it, and I think there's benefits and disadvantages for everything. But a lot of people have been worried about like, oh, well, now we're not going to get the masses. My thing is the masses aren't ready for this anyways. But guess who is? Web3 people, crypto people. They're ready for it now. So if they can help us build this up now, bring in the money, I think then the masses will come. And like you've been saying, things are going to get easier as we move forward. So that's what I'm excited. Like a lot of people are scared about crypto, but it's definitely gotten a lot more legitimate since 2020 when this whole project kind of started. Well, I guess 2018, but it's definitely a lot more legitimate. So yeah, and there's Kryptoni. He had the change of heart too. We kind of talked about it, and yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited about this. By the way, do you remember Jurassic Park? You made an NFT. Do you remember that for owning? Wasn't that you who made the NFT. It was like out where there's going to be utility for the Jurassic Park beta, and the what was there, only 400 of them or 425? Do you remember that or no?
I remember the group that existed for it. It wasn't me that made it. Wasn't you, okay. But I do remember that being made. I made this this challenge coin, which I hold during all of my interviews because
oh wow, nice,
good luck. Oh wow, that's kind of
I like right that.
Now. That's kind of cool. Oh,
that is really cool.
Like that. Yeah. So I gave that out to I think 50 people. So 50 people got that I think last year or the year before, and so that's been really cool. But yeah, I mean the community groups I have to say are absolutely incredible. A lot of the utility that has been added to them, and a few community members specifically who have spearheaded that. But I mean those communities are absolutely incredible, and I am a part of them, right? Like I do have a Ecomi Secret logo, right? I have a VeVe Gold and Silver logo, and being a part of those groups and just being surrounded by like-minded people that are excited about the future, and not to say that you don't get that on socials, you certainly do as well. But I mean these people especially are people that have had a real committed interest to seeing the project succeed. And so being able to see them and just the community in general at a lot of the physical events that happen throughout the year, it's really cool to see a lot of the same faces. And then it's also really cool to see new faces and people joining and getting excited about the prospect of digital collecting with OMI.
Yeah, and things are just for me, things are getting really exciting. We've just seen a lot over the last year, over a year, and now it's like it feels like it's all coming together. Of course, there'll be bumps in the road and stuff like that, but like you said, we're kind of dipping our feet and seeing what's going on. I don't know if you saw any questions or anything that you wanted to answer in chat or anything like that.
I mean, the one that just popped up recently, actually, from Michael, who's an IRL friend of mine. I thought it was really cool because he messaged me today. He texted me. He said, I'm collecting again today. And I said, oh, like, are you doing it on VeVe or where are you doing it? And he said, no, I'm doing it on Stackr. I said, oh yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'm ranked 40 on the monthly leaderboards right now. And he's getting all excited about it. And, these are, friends of mine that got into the project back in 2021 and, probably didn't have as much passion about it as I did, and kind of, wrote it with me and kind of thought I was crazy. What the heck did you get me into here? But I think it's cool to see interest being reignited by people that have always had a genuine interest, but maybe kind of lost the path along the way. And so I think, seeing people like that being re-engaged in the community, I think shows that the most recent iterations and deliverables that we're working towards are putting us in the right direction. And I think that as we continue to deliver, we're going to start to see more and more of those stories of not just new people joining, but old people who had that excitement and flame for VeVe, have it be reignited. And I think that that's going to be a really cool moment. So,
and that's a big pool that we can, get users back. That's kind of an easier thing than new users, getting these old users who, wanted something. And now I think we're going to get it. So I'm very excited for what's to come. I think we'll probably end it there. But just any final words from you, where people can go again to leave feedback, and any final words from you before we head out of here.
Yeah, absolutely. Once again, thank you to you for having me on and for being so
patient
with me. I think we wanted to wait until we had some fun things to talk about, right? And I could kind of let you know, hey, let's wait a little bit more. Let's wait a little bit more. And I think, we're at that point now where we have these things that we can talk about, and also things that we can speculate for the future. So I'm glad to hear that your experience has been positive, and that you had some cautious optimism, and, maybe we're a bit skeptical, but that you've been checking out the Stackr ecosystem, and that you've been getting your hands on some OMI. And I really hope that, people can learn from people like you, and can kind of say, it's okay to be skeptical about something. It's okay to be unsure, but don't be afraid to try new things. And I know new things can be scary, but I think as you start to experience them, you can realize that, there's a lot of really good things that can come from it. And, we've seen it through VeVe over the years. They've made a lot of changes and rebranding and things that, kind of seemed, oh my God, what are we going to, but I think, things just become normal. And I think it's, we really want to normalize OMI being the utility token that powers where the world collects. And I think that we're making strides towards that. And I look forward to continuing to get the community feedback and have them along for this ride with us. And I hope they're happy with what they see.
Yeah, well, I really appreciate you coming on. And just, again, seeing these attempts and trying new things and everything, that's huge. It's when Ecomi and VeVe stops doing that, that's when I'm worried. And I just love seeing all the new stuff that's going on and the exciting stuff. I hope everyone will check out Stackr. We'll check out Ecomi. I've got all the links in the description. Foster, thank you for coming on. Really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll get to meet up sometime in real life. I'm going to be at DCon this year, so I won't be in New York. I don't know where you're going to be at, but one of these days we'll get to meet, hopefully. But I really appreciate you coming on. Hopefully we could do it again. Use this as a play, a shouting, a soapbox or whatever you want to let the VeVe fam know what's going on. But again, I really appreciate you coming on. Everyone in chat, really appreciate you coming here. Sorry if I didn't get to everyone. I wasn't trying to ignore questions. I just had the questions I wanted, but I appreciate everyone coming here. I will be on tomorrow for the Aladdin drop and a couple more drops on Thursday and Saturday. So again, thank you, Foster. Chat, thank you again. Have a great night, everyone. Do something nice for somebody. Until next time, peace. I'm out of here.